All right, we're back with another episode of Bosco Talks, BYU and more. During this episode, we're going to talk 2 minute drill. We're going to talk a little bit about the Holiday Bowl, but we're going to kind of go to some other, probably, hopefully, some unique stories, not necessarily the game. I know a lot of people, you've had a lot of interviews about the game itself, so we'll try to dig into some other stories, and then we have some fan Q&A that we will be going over. But again, to start, we'll do the 2 minute drill. So let's talk a little bit about that, Dad. What kind of preparation goes into the 2 minute drill? Did you guys have specific times during practice, or was it every practice that you would go over 2 minute drill? And let's start there with kind of the preparation and the practice for that.
Yeah, the 2 minute drill is interesting. It's like, it's a hurry up offense. You're trying to score, you're trying to get in field position. And I hear it all the time now as a BYU fan. Every time we go on the 2 minute drill and we move the ball, you can hear everybody saying, why don't we do this the whole game? But it just doesn't work like that. So it's kind of crazy. But it's awesome. So you got to work on it every day. Everybody's got to be on the same page. And basically, the coaches give the QB kind of obviously they give you guidance of certain plays to call. And as a quarterback, you just kind of, as you've played already probably 3 quarters, or even just before halftime, it could be a quarter and a half or whatever. And so you kind of have some plays at work too, or where you feel comfortable throwing. And so it's interesting. You hope that as an offense or a defense, you haven't used the timeouts. Timeouts are crucial. The thing that makes it a little bit nicer in college is when you get a first down, the clock stops.
Yeah.
And so you have some time to get up there. In the NFL, it's running the whole time. So you have to be a little bit more careful. But and a lot of it is depending. Do you have to go score a touchdown? Do you just have to get in field position to kick a field goal? What's the scenario? And if you have some timeouts left, and even with 2 minutes to go with timeouts, you don't really need to do a 2 minute drill. Sometimes they have a hurry up offense where you're just hurrying up to the line of scrimmage. They're signaling in place from the sidelines. And that's probably what they do more than put it in the quarterback's hands. And so both ways, though, you got to practice. You have to practice the snap count, because everything is just faster.
Yeah.
And you just got to make sure everyone's on the same page and doing the right thing.
Do you feel like in the 2 minute drill too that defense is kind of, not that they're more relaxed, but they play back a little bit more? So there's certain areas of the field that are typically more open during a 2 minute drill than just during regular gameplay. And that's kind of where that fan interaction comes in of like, why don't we just play this way the whole time? Well, the middle of the field tends to be a little bit more open because they want you to either use your timeouts or not be able to get out of bounds or different things like that. So did you notice that defenses were just a little bit more, just played back a little bit more and there was a little bit more holes, or is it kind of just the flow of the game and it just felt the same?
No, it's definitely different. Like if you're trying to go score a touchdown, I think teams have a tendency to play back a little bit. But you just got to be careful. You don't want to give up these easy throws all the time. And
Yeah.
like you said, if you don't have timeouts, they want to guard the sidelines. So the middle of the field will be open a little bit more. So you hope that you throw for a first down. Because if you don't, that clock just ticks. And it goes, when you're on offense, it goes so fast. And
Yeah.
on defense, I'm sure it goes so slow. Like, how can this game's not over? And so you just practice all those scenarios, and you just have to be prepared, for everything. But it's kind of a fun part of the game where you're throwing the ball, and every once in a while, here's kind of the crazy thing. Every once in a while, you'll throw on a run, and if it doesn't work, everyone's going to start booing. Like, why would they run the ball in a 2 minute drill? But if it works, what did Gene just call?
Yep.
So that's what coaches have to put up with.
Yeah.
When plays don't work, someone out there is not mad. If they work, it's like, man, this is the greatest coach in the world.
Yeah.
Well, the players are making it happen too.
Yeah. When you were there, did you guys have, depending on the situation, did you maybe have, hey, these are the plays that we're gonna run kind of as a set play, and then when you got up to the line, you had the ability to change it if you needed, or was it more kind of like you said, how they do it now, where you're getting to the line, a play is signaled in, and it's that way. I think now they can have all the stuff in their helmet, so it might be a little bit easier to even get plays in and out. But what was it like when you were at BYU?
Yeah, for sure. Back then, I think our whole offense, our offense was so fun to play with because we had, and I think I talked about this last week, our sight adjustments. And so as an offense, our receivers, even though people think everyone stays back every once in a while, they'll storm the castle and bring everybody. So we still have to watch our key safeties, linebackers. Are they dropping people? Like who's coming? So that's got to be the first key for everything. And so you don't really have a whole lot of time to change the plays. So we would use the side adjustments as we weren't going to take a sack and we're going to make the throw. Now, if something breaks down where I'm supposed to throw a quick one to the tight end because they're bringing a blitz and he doesn't see it, then the QB's just got to throw it away or try to make a play
Yeah.
moving around. But you, like I said, you don't want to take too much time. So a lot of it depends on how much time's on the clock, how many timeouts you have, and you just kind of have to have that feel and go from there.
Well, it's been fun too because I feel like there have been some really good BYU times on the 2 minute drill, and obviously some not so fun. The most recent ones that obviously I can remember, Tanner Mangum, his freshman year, the Nebraska play, the long throw to Mitch Matthews on the last second against Boise State. It was within the last minute, but even for you in '84, you might have had more than this, but the Pitt game was probably close to within 2 minutes if it wasn't. And then kind of the Holiday Bowl against Michigan.
Yeah, and don't
So
forget Oklahoma State last year.
Oklahoma State last year
It
was was an awesome one.
was a great drive down the field, and they can then towards the end make a great throw. Receiver makes a cut, touchdown, and game's over. So it's a blessing. Um, you know what? A lot of times we didn't have the 2 minute drill too many times. I think we had a decent lead most of the time going into halftime or towards the end of the game. But there were a couple games where it came down to crucial plays. I remember against Wyoming at home, the game was going back and forth. Their best receiver slash tight end was Jay Novacek, who played with the Cowboys for a long time. And so they were scoring as much as we were. And it was, I think it was 38-34, and we had the ball. We were about on I want to say the 50-yard line at one time. We had a 4th and 10, and we're going to throw a little option route to Kozlowski. He's supposed to move up to about 12 yards, and he's kind of beat up. I think he had a concussion at that time, too. He wasn't thinking too well. And then I know he set up, and they dropped off in zone, so I knew I had time.
Yeah.
I knew our offensive lineman. We had 5 guys to block 4, so I had some time. So he turns around and he stops right behind the linebacker. Nowhere to throw the ball. So I'm back there in the pocket and I'm like, move over. And he does move. And luckily the linebacker just kind of stayed there. Kind of tried to keep that linebacker at bay a little bit with my eyes. And then boom, we completed that ball and then we went down and scored. I think we beat them 41-38. But I don't even know if that was a 2 minute drill. It may have just been a hurry up, we got to get
Yeah.
going type of thing too. But it was a successful day for us on that one.
Well, and like we talked about last week too, the Hawaii game where I don't know if that was again within 2 minutes, but kind of a big play at the end on the flip side, the defensive side, that also has to try to make plays and help their team win during those 2 minute drills. So, all right, now going kind of into the Holiday Bowl. Again, you've talked about this before in plenty of interviews. It was a pretty crazy game. It's interesting, obviously, the way they did bowl games. in the 80s is very different than they do bowl games now. You were kind of you had contracts, I believe, with the bowl game before the season even started, and if you were bowl eligible, that's basically where you were playing, except for maybe the top few teams would kind of switch around depending on where they were at. And you guys even tried to get, I think Washington and Oklahoma were 2 and 3, one of them to come play, and they wouldn't come play. But the Michigan team was a little bit underrated. They were really good. They started the year really good. Harbaugh was their quarterback. I think Jim, I believe it was Jim Harbaugh. He was injured, but they had a lot of defensive players that kind of got injured, came back for the bowl game, and were pretty fully healthy coming back into the bowl game. What was kind of the mentality for you guys going into that bowl game, knowing 2 and 3 were playing a lot later, a few weeks later? You guys were one of the first bowl games, and having to play an unranked Michigan team almost, in your mind, was it, this is kind of a lose-lose situation. If we lose, that's bad, obviously. No one wants to lose the bowl game, but also if you win, people are going to be complaining about that all the time.
Yeah. I think people were complaining before we even had anybody to play. They didn't think we should have been there. But it was interesting, like Michigan early in the season beat a very high top ranked Miami team. Then they did get a bunch of injuries, but nobody ever wants to talk about who played in the game and who didn't, this and that. They didn't have their starting quarterback. But anyways, our mentality was we don't care. We tried to play the very best. We tried to give people an opportunity
Yeah.
that to come play us, and if you win, like if you were ranked 2 or 3, you would be national champs
Yeah.
without a doubt. We already knew at any time that the only way we can be national champs is we're the only undefeated team.
Mm-hmm.
If there was another team undefeated, they would have had it, hands down.
Yeah.
And so we all knew that, but we had a lot of confidence. And like I've said before, we had a ton of guys that played in the NFL that were super good. So we were a very good team anyways. So our confidence was it doesn't matter who we play, we're gonna win. We're gonna play good. We're not afraid to play anybody. And we were proving it throughout the year.
Yeah.
And so it was a game where honestly, if we didn't turn the ball over so much, we probably should have beat them by 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Our defense, they couldn't really. I think they had one good drive against our defense, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, we turned the ball over a lot. I don't think they even turned it over. We had a lot more yards than they did. But it was just, when Michigan was named and they had that record and all the naysayers were out there, the only guy that really loved us was Beano Cook on ESPN. He was awesome, and he stuck up for us all year, and it was fun having him. And we became actually pretty good friends, and so, but it was fun. We felt like we deserved it after we won, and we did everything that we could have done. I mean, we everything that's asked of us, we went out there and beat all the teams, and I think it changed the landscape of college football by us winning it. And they've had to make all these plans. I'm sure they're going to make more changes to try to get more people opportunities. But it is awesome to see the underdog win.
Yeah.
And be on top once in a while.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. What was it like pre the week before? I mean, at least that's how they've done it in the past. When you were coaching, we would always go a little bit before. You guys have some fun things planned. Was it a similar kind of setup as it is now, or what were some things that you guys did before, and how did the practices work out? And talk a little bit about that.
Practices were pretty much the same. The biggest difference was the media. It was just every day, just interviews. It was packed. The stadium was, I don't know if the stadium's ever been packed at Jack Murphy. And it was packed, and the sidelines were packed, and media was all around the field, and it was it was exciting. We were playing in our hometown, if we
Yeah.
felt like. We loved playing in San Diego. We have a ton of fans in San Diego, and people, you knew they were coming to the game from all over the place. And so it was a great night. The San Diego air, you could just feel it. It was football all over the place. So it was super fun. Um, Media was at our practices. It's the same old questions. Every once in a while, you'd get like, "You guys deserve it," but it's like, "Should you guys be here? What do you think? What do you think about playing a 6-5 Michigan or whatever the record was?" And
Yeah.
so you just kind of had to hit the record button and said, "Here's my answer. I've given you guys 14,000 times already." But it was awesome. We sucked it all in, and it was a fun game to play in.
Did you guys do any SeaWorld or anything like that all together as a team? Do you remember any of those outings kind of before that Holiday Bowl?
Yeah, we did the same thing that we did for the previous 6 years. You go to Let's see, we go to the Navy ships, and we have a big luncheon there. Um, I think SeaWorld's part of it. They have the parades going on. But then when we had free time, the guys, we would just have super fun. We'd try to see if we could borrow a car and go into town a little bit or something like that. But it was, I mean, we knew all the streets. We've been there so
Yeah.
many times. I think it was our like seventh straight game down to San Diego playing in the Holiday Bowl, and it was by far the most exciting bowl game ever. And it
Yeah.
still might be. I don't know. I haven't really watched any Holiday Bowls in a long time because we haven't been there.
Yeah.
But it was always a fun game and a lot of offense.
I remember, I think it's you I think we still have it at your house, the little TV. Is that what you guys got before the game? I know they usually give the team something at the bowl games. We had like a little TV that could play a couple channels that we would watch when we were kids. I still remember that. And probably in '84, that was a
Oh,
really awesome gift to get.
we thought we hit the jackpot when we got this little TV. There was a little radio on it, and the screen was no bigger than this,
Yeah, it's
and it was
tiny.
black and white. But we're like, now we're finally getting the gift we deserve.
Yeah.
And now when they go to a bowl game, they lay out like 50 gifts on the table, and players go by and the staff and everything, they pick out what they want. And I mean, it's nothing like that.
No.
These are actually super nice gifts, but times are changing,
Yeah.
and with the NIL and all that stuff now,
More
it's
money in it and
more. So it is what it is.
no, definitely. Not to throw any of your teammates under the bus, but do you remember any of them that maybe were on the brink of getting in trouble when you guys would go out or do things? You're like, guys, come on, we we can't be
Oh,
doing this right before the game.
yeah, I won't throw anybody under the bus, but that was an everyday thing. I mean, it was just like you're just hoping, like, come on, everybody be at practice tomorrow morning.
You
And
guys had an awesome team. It
but
was a fun
it was a
team.
super fun team.
Let's talk a little bit about in the game. Obviously, you had the injury, and Blaine had to come in and play, and you and Blaine were roommates. Was that the first year you guys were roommates, or were you guys roommates previously
We were
too?
roommates as freshmen.
You were roommates as freshmen for a
That
little
was
bit.
the only time we were roommates, our freshman year.
Obviously, your thought process is, I got to get back in the game. You've been there the whole year, but talk a little bit about the kind of the preparation that you and Blaine had in the QB room and just the you trusted him, and obviously him going in and just controlling the game a little bit. I think he got a big first down to kind of keep a drive alive that enabled you to come back in. But talk a little bit about that, and obviously Blaine's a really good family friend of ours too.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever seen those plays ever on a game. I mean, I wasn't out there. I
Yeah.
was in the locker room getting taped up and everything, and we had like a little train going down to the locker room because it was you had to go like 100 steps to get to the field. And so I was like, hey, what's happening? What's happening? And they were working on me, checking my leg out and everything like that. But look, Blaine's was there a long time.
Yeah.
He knew the system. Blaine was a very good player. And so, I mean, honestly, I didn't really think about, oh, okay, Blaine's in there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how can I get back in the game?
Yeah.
And how quick can I get back in there? I don't even think I missed that many plays,
I think you only missed a few plays,
to be
like
honest with
a
you.
handful of
So
plays, really.
I'd never even looked back to see how many plays that I missed or anything like that. But when I came out on the field, I remember when they were working on me in the locker room, and they're like, "What do you think? We can shoot it up." I'm like, "No, I don't want to get shot up." And I asked them, I go, "Is there anything? If I go back out and play, will this do any more damage than what's already been done?" Now they could have said yes, but they said no. So I'm like, okay, let's tape it up as tight as you can, and let's go. So they
Yeah.
were taping it. And then I'm like, okay. They said, okay, you ready? He goes, do you want anything? You want an aspirin? I go, no, I'm good as I am. Let's just go play. And so I got off the table, got my stuff, and I was walking down, and then there's a guy towards the end of the tunnel. I'm like, I don't know who that was. As I got closer, and it's my dad.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got on the field and into the stadium. I mean, into the tunnel to get up to the locker room, but he did. And it was a tender mercy blessing for me
Yeah.
because that's who throughout all year and my whole career I knew I could count on my mom and dad, my family support me.
Yeah.
Whether I didn't play good or played good or whatever. When I played good, it wasn't like you were amazing, you were great. We just moved on to the next game, and we celebrated. After every home game, we went back to where I lived, and we had a big pot of chili that my Auntie Dee and Uncle George would bring down from Price, Utah, and we would have that every game, and it was a party because we won every game, so it
Yeah.
was super fun to do that. And so then when I walked onto the field, that's when the adrenaline came in because I just heard this huge roar and clapping, and I just could feel them all looking down, waiting for, is he coming out? Is he coming out? And when I stepped out there, that was huge. So I went over there to start warming up, and I'm trying to plant on that leg, and I'm like, man, I can't. It doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to feel amazing, but I felt like I couldn't push off or anything like that. And so the trainer came over, he took off my shoe, and he put more tape on. I don't even know how I got my shoe back on. And then I think he taped my shoe to my foot too. And so I go, well, that feels good. My foot didn't fall asleep, so it felt good. And then I went up to the quarterback coach, Mike Holmgren. I just stood by him like, okay, I'm ready to go. He goes, no, you can't go in. I go, yes, I can. So then I just ran out on the field.
Yeah.
I waved Blaine over. I said, I'm in.
I'm back.
And then I got in the huddle, and I could just feel the team just looking at me like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And if people have ever felt that adrenaline rush, I don't know how many people have been in those kind of
Not
situations,
many.
but it's a thing that you can't really explain.
Yeah.
And then when the play's over, it kind of disappears, and then you can just do it again and stuff like that. And so went in the game, and I told the center and the line, I go, look, we're going to do the shotgun now. Everyone, for the most of the game, I'm going to be back in shotgun, or for the rest of the game, a lot of it. And so you got to listen to my count. And I knew they were going to blitz us like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first play was, I can't remember what the play was, but I dropped back and boom, down at the legs. As I threw the ball, they came down on my legs again. And at the time, I don't have time to think cheap shot, not cheap shot, whatever.
Yeah.
It's football. And so I just told our line, well, let's go. I need some more time.
Yeah.
You got to give me more time, or we're not going to be able to get this done. And honestly, I don't even know if they even touched me the rest of the game in the pocket.
Yeah.
And I think that play was under center. Then we went to the shotgun the next play. And I'm calling an audible. And as I'm calling it, the center snaps it. I'm not even looking at it. And boom, it hits me. I grab it real quick. And here they come. I get a quick pass out to Kelly Smith. He makes a play. And I know we could hear their players yelling at their coaches, I thought you said they don't throw to him out of the backfield real fast. And I'm like, you better be ready for it because we're going to be doing a lot now. And so, yeah, we made it happen. It was hard because we were trying to change what we'd normally do in the game.
Yeah.
But we made it work and made some good plays with it.
I know for you too, your drop back had to change a little bit. So you had to also not only go into the shotgun, but your drop back is a little bit, I don't know, slower just because you couldn't move as fast. You had to kind of square your shoulders instead of turning them this way because of the way you were planted. So
what happened was, if I would have done, I dropped straight back a lot of times during the season too. So I was used to that.
Okay.
But if I ran forward or dropped straight back, it was a little bit easier on my ankle and my knees. And so if I turned, it wasn't the same. So that was a little bit slower. And so I had to drop back. So luckily I did that throughout the season so I could see both sides pretty good. And then just, like I said, the adrenaline kind of takes away some of that initial pain, but then you just go out there and play. You got to play. If I can't play, I'm not going to be in the game. So I'm like, I'll make it happen.
I got to go. There's really two plays that kind of stick out on that last drive too. I think one, you drop back, you scramble for a first down, and then the next one you have to step up in the pocket and you hit Kelly Smith in the end zone for the touchdown that proved to be the game-winning touchdown. Was Kelly's route to do that, or did he see space in the defense? What kind of went through your head on both of those plays?
So his route was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like, we call it 69H option. So his route is to free release. If they bring people on that side, I throw it hot to him. Or if it's a man-to-man, he goes up with his linebacker, makes a move and goes in or out. Or if it's zone, he finds the hole in between the two backers, and then I hit him right there. So basically it's about a 5-yard throw. If he gets tackled, we're 5 yards down the field. If he has a little bit of room, he can go upfield and get 2 or 3 more yards. So they were in zone, so he's supposed to spot up. So as I drop back, both of our, I can't remember if it was both of our guards or center guard. I think it was both of our guards kind of got beat inside. So I felt that, and I had no time to even think about Kelly. I'm like, I got to get up in the pocket. So the thing with being a quarterback, you have to make decisions like right now. You have no time to be like, oh, what would work better if I did this or this? So when I stepped up, the linemen that got beat are going to go.
Yeah.
So my choices are, and I'm thinking this during this play. If I say go, they're going to go block somebody. And then I'm going to try to get whatever I can get. But if I wait too long to throw the ball, they're going to be downfield. It's going to be another flag.
Right.
And so as I step up in the pocket, out of the corner of my eye, I see Kelly Smith. Not looking at him, but I see a jersey and I know it's Kelly Smith going down. And then once I step up or make a move where I'm going to scramble, all the receivers have a certain route that they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelly's route, being on the far side, is to go up the field. So as I saw him, boom, I just threw it. And then there was even a flag. I'm like, oh no, they're going to call too many people downfield or illegal receiver or whatever because the linemen were too far
Yeah.
down. But I don't know what it was. They called something against them. And so that was the lead. And I knew that they got the ball one more time. I knew they weren't going to score on us. And I think Marv Allen intercepted it. So we ran a couple more plays and that was the game.
No, it's a fun game to think about. There was a lot of key plays, a lot of really great plays. Honestly, just a really great football game. And like we've talked about, that was a healthy Michigan defense that beat a good Miami team. And maybe they didn't end Miami didn't end the year well, but they had been really good the past few years and were solid. So it's a fun defense to beat, especially in a bowl game. Um, we've got a few fan Q&As questions for you. The first one, what was the loudest and or best stadium that you played in, that you remember playing in?
In 1985, no, 80, I think it was maybe the 84 game. Or I may have been coaching. We were playing Air Force at our place. And I've heard our crowd get loud before, but it was deafening.
Yeah.
And it was the goofiest call I've ever seen. Their quarterback would get up there. I know they couldn't hear him give signals. He'd look back at the officials and say, I can't hear. Usually the official says, play on. Threw a flag on us. They threw the flag on the crowd for being too loud. I'm like, how's that possible? Next play, do you think our crowd's going to get quieter?
Even louder.
Got even louder. Threw another flag. It was bizarre. I've never seen that. It's usually
Wow.
called home court or home field advantage when you have a crowd. So during that game, and then there's a couple other games. I remember Brandon Doman pitching to Luke Staley down the sidelines against Utah.
Yeah.
Crowd went crazy and loud. And honestly, with 65,000 people, it's hard to get any louder than
Yeah.
that. And so I would have to say, probably that game was loud. And then I remember, no, that was a different season. But yeah, I would just have to say Lavelle Edwards Stadium was pretty loud.
Yeah.
As far as an away game, um, I don't ever really remember being so loud that we couldn't
Yeah.
run plays or do anything. So I'd have to say the Cougs.
And then last one for this episode, did you have any pregame rituals or superstitions when you were
Oh,
at BYU that
I
you
had
remember?
a Black Widow T-shirt that I think I found in the locker room in a pile of shirts that nobody wanted. So I'm like, that's cool. I wore that every single game. And even though they washed it, sometimes I'd sit there, I'm like, oh boy, I have no idea. That thing smelled so bad. I mean, I wore that 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
I
that would
wore
do
that
it.
for 24 straight games. And I don't know, I may have found it my sophomore year when I was backing up. And I think I wore it then too.
Yeah.
So I may have worn this for 3 straight years, and it was the nastiest thing. But I only wore it during games. And the other thing is, if you have ever noticed, see any pictures of me, I'm pretty sure it's most all of them. If we had blue jerseys on, I would wear a white wristband on my right hand arm and a blue one on my left. And if we were blue jerseys, I'd put the blue one on my right and the white one.
Nice.
I have no idea. I don't even know why I wore wristbands. I never wore a wristband in high school Never did it in practice, but for
It
some
was the
reason,
thing.
I thought it was the thing maybe, and I wore one then.
Well, we
That,
were looking.
those are my
Yeah,
superstitions then I did.
no, that's awesome. We were back at your house. We found those, I don't know, finger guards that AI used to wear, and everyone was wearing those because of AI. So I'm sure someone in the 80s was wearing wristbands that everyone wanted to
I
wear.
think all QBs wore them, so I
That
might
could
go
be true too. Now they all have the plays on their wristbands. So,
yeah.
all right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Remember to leave a review on any of the podcast, wherever you're listening to the podcast. Go follow the social medias, and we'll see you next time.